Hello, everybody. I think we're now here. How's everybody doing today? You guys good? Welcome to the 2023 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the final race of the 2023 season. And it's been a long season, honestly, and not to be negative, but I'll be happy to see the end of this one, I think. What about you guys? Huh? You guys ready for this one to have been concluded? Janita, thank you for 39 months on Twitch. You freaking legend. OG squad. I'm ready for the end of the season, but that just means completely there's lots of really cool stuff coming for next season, and I think we can look forward to that. So let's get into it. I actually took yesterday off and I did not watch qualifying live. However, I have analyzed qualifying. I'm excited about it. If you're here to talk about Leclerc's throttle application in the braking zones, we'll do that later because I'm struggling with that one. Turco44 says, I'm starting to pay less and less attention to each race. I agree with you. My sentiment is there are too many races and I feel pretty freaking overloaded with the frequency of F1. But at the same time, we've got lots to talk about all the time. Unfortunately, I think one of the biggest things we noticed this weekend was like the only like topics and narratives that the media were discussing were just like random drama nonsense, like Hamilton, Horner, Toto. It's just like, come on, these are not great. 18 to 20 races is a sweet spot. Yeah, every other weekend kind of thing, maybe one or two back-to-backs, but nothing crazy. Hey, Seuss, thanks for the follow, mate. Yeah, YouTube. Twitch, how's everybody doing? Can I get your hype levels out of 10? Points out of 10. What's your hype level at? Briatore on the grid a few minutes ago. Let's go. Fraudulent. 1. Oofed. 6, 7, 6. Okay. Why are we down? Let's talk about. Do you guys want to talk about qualifying before we get into it? We've got 20 minutes until the race start, and I would love to go through some of my thoughts from qualifying. And I'm a little bit behind because I got sucked into a hole on Twitter, which I shouldn't have done. I know better than that, but that's my mistake. It's off-season news already. You know what we're going to have in the off-season, though? In the off-season, I have some really, really cool stuff coming up. A, for next season, and B, for the off-season. We'll do some reports. I've got one topic I'm going to look at everybody's pit stop performance for the entire season in a very detailed way, not just their pit stop times, but the driver's pit stop performance, because I think that is super, super, super interesting. But yeah, let's talk first about the Constructors' Championship. Before we get into qualifying, let's talk about the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull clear P1. There are 4 points between Mercedes and Ferrari for P2, so 392 versus 388. Mercedes or Ferrari are going to take this, and I think Leclerc should go well here. I think Sainz can recover. Mercedes, probably okay race pace. If Sainz can get through the traffic, he couldn't get through the traffic in Las Vegas, but yeah. So that's an interesting one. Williams and AlphaTauri, 7 points between them. If AlphaTauri has a good result, Tsunoda is starting P6. They could take that. Honestly, if Ricciardo can get in the points and Williams does not, that could be interesting. Haas and Alfa Romeo, if either of them, if Haas scores 3 points, they will overtake Alfa. But yeah. What else? Is there anybody else that's close? It's really Aston 11 points behind McLaren. That could happen. I don't see that happening today. I think McLaren are clear on the Astons, but yeah. FunkyBot says, hey, I saw you on the Sky F1 build-up. Let's go! Pika messaged me as well. Pika saw that. They had a couple people send in some clips, and I sent in a clip. And McLaren's recovery this season has been my moment of the season that got me the most excited. But also, I think to Lando's self-admission, he is struggling massively on that final lap in qualifying. You know, getting that Q3 lap together under the pressure. I think if he can improve on that, he's going to be insane. He's freaking good, though. Come on. Ferrari's pace compared to Mercedes, the race pace data from this weekend is nonsense. I expect Ferrari to be clear of Mercedes in the race. I like people like talking about race pace. Very few people that talk about race pace before the races do I trust anything they say. Because like not because I don't believe them, but because actually looking at free practice 2 data alone very rarely tells you anything that you need to know. Like if you're a Formula 1 strategist, you're looking at your P2 data, your old race data, your data from last year, your data on tracks with similar tires, everything else. So yeah, we should talk about rage pace. Well, why don't we talk about qualifying? Why don't we talk about qualifying real quick, and then we'll get into, we've got 19 minutes until the race starts. Can I get your autograph? Of course. Quali analysis. Let's go. So this is all the gaps to qualifying for the entire season. Let me just fix something real quick. So this is gaps to pole for the entire season. So the closer to the bottom you are, the faster you are. Red Bull is the purple color. So Red Bull have basically been setting the pace everywhere. I think I removed some of the wet races as well, but you can see from the US Grand Prix up until Vegas, Red Bull was kind of dropping back a little bit, back to about where Mercedes have been sitting usually, but obviously back on pole here. Ferrari did not expect to be on pole from, or even be close to pole from what I expected. But McLaren, up and down. I think last week in Vegas, McLaren were completely nowhere on their tire preparation, and they screwed it. But Ferrari close in single lap pace. Mercedes, pretty much the same gap they've had. I mean, they've got a couple of Singapore, Hungary stand out for Mercedes, and maybe in the USA. They were a bit faster, but maybe they found a little bit more performance from running the car super low than they thought, or maybe that just suited them. But I didn't, like looking at the USA's characteristics, I don't see the USA massively sorting the Mercedes relative to everybody else. So maybe they flew a little bit too close to the sun here, but realistically 0.4% to pole is about where they've been sitting. So nothing too crazy on that. I think our gaps are as expected. Haas had a reasonable qualifying performance. Young Taco, dude, thank you for the prime sub, homie. Here's an interesting thing. Here's a very interesting thing. Looking at everybody's pace throughout the weekend, starting from FP1 to qualifying and looking how teams progress. And this is super interesting because usually when we look at session, we're like, oh, free practice 1 times are terrible. Oh, FP2 times, oh, they're terrible. Free practice 3, it doesn't make any sense. No, it rarely does. This is what we're looking at. I mean, this is free practice 1, free practice 2, free practice 3, and the free practice 4, aka qualifying. Did you know that qualifying is actually classified as a practice session? Andreas, either one works fine, man. Good to see you, bro. Lando podium. Lando probably could have been close, but I don't think he was on the podium. Could Oscar finish on the podium today? Yes. Oscar was not very impressive in qualifying, and I'll come back to that. So let's look at this. Haas kind of in the back all weekend, and they snuck up. Alfa Romeo and Williams really struggled in qualifying, but I'm not too surprised that Williams was about there. And if you look at this, Mercedes just improving, chipping away every session. And some teams a little bit faster in FP2 relative to FP3. Red Bull, anonymous P1 because they had their development drivers in the mix for P2. Absolutely nowhere in P3, and then clearly on pole for qualifying. But yeah, I mean, this just goes to show you, especially on tracks where we have qualifying later in the day than free practice 3, you can see really chaotic stuff happening. Free practice 3, don't overreact too much. That being said, Max was not too thrilled about their odds going into qualifying, and Christian bet 500 euros against Helmet that they'd be on the front row or pole, and he done it. And let's look at qualifying lap times for the drivers. So Q1, Q2, and Q3. I think this is super interesting as well. I think it might be a little bit too granular, like too much detail, but I think this is awesome. So looking at Max's qualifying progression, clear in Q1, clear in Q2, and clear in Q3. He only did 1 new tire run at the beginning of the session, whereas other people did used tire, new tire, or 2 runs. Look at this though. Norris in the mix, kind of just getting through, is clearly second fastest in Q2, and then absolutely craps his pants. I mean, and to that note, Piastri was not particularly anywhere, and finally got it together by Q3. But Norris was freaking punching, and realistically, I think Norris could have split Leclerc and Verstappen had he put it together. Russell's progression not particularly good, and Hamilton. Here's Hamilton in Q2, struggled massively. So let's get into some of the telemetry real quick and highlight some of the more important things, because we've got 15 minutes until the race starts. Run plans. This was another interesting one. Max gets through Q1 on one set of new tires. He gets through Q2 on one set of new tires, and then he gets to run 2 new sets in Q3. However, I'm fairly certain he does not improve on his second run, so he had to go at it, but really was not able to improve it. So, yeah. Hey, Hex, dude, thank you for 2 years of Twitch sub, man. I appreciate that so much, brother. I appreciate you, homie. You legend. You legend. Right, ladies and gentlemen, in the Twitch chat, there is a prediction for race 1. Race lap 1. Will we have any shenanigans? Red flags, yellow flags, safety cars, or that type of thing. If there's a crash and no yellow flag, I'm sorry, no red flag, safety car, virtual safety car, that's not a shenanigan. Let's pick out the interesting bits though. This is good. Perfect sectors. So if drivers had put their perfect sectors together, this is what would have happened. Guys, if you're in Twitch, the prediction is now live. Bet on what you think. Shenanigans or no shenanigans. All right? Shenanigans or no shenanigans. So the green bar indicates how much faster the driver could have gone if they put all their best sectors together. And if Norris had put his best sectors together, he would have been basically tied with Leclerc. Russell's best sectors would have put him ahead of Piastri. And again, Hamilton's best sectors in Q2 would have got him in to Q3. So let's look at those let's look at the poll, what happened between Verstappen and Leclerc. And then let's look at Hamilton and Sainz. Because again, Sainz got knocked out in Q1, which kind of went for me a little bit under the radar because I didn't watch the session live. But heck, you know. Let's do some telemetry real quick. We haven't looked at much telemetry on the stream lately in a while, have we? Can I do this camera? No, I can't. Yeah, I can. I can use this one. We can zoom in more. So this is Verstappen in blue versus Leclerc in red. Here's the car speeds on the top. Here's the left side is the start of the lap, and the right side is the end of the lap. And this is like the speed. Here's all the corner apexes, these low speed little dips here. But Verstappen finds a tenth of it. There's a tenth of a second between Max and Leclerc. If you look at the whole lap, there's a tenth between them. It's pretty good laps from both of them. But Verstappen, absolutely monstrous in terms of turn 1. Both of the Mercedes struggled to extract the maximum out of turn 1. And that's where Max finds a lot of time. Pretty much no big differences between turn 5. Max gains a little bit of advantage through turn 6, 7, this very low speed corner, so 60 kilometers an hour. But Max actually massively struggles through 12 to 14 on this specific lap. He doesn't quite get it together. So he goes in to 12, carries a lot of speed in, and keep in mind that this is really like a double apex combined corner. He slows the car right down, gets a really good drive out of it, but it looks like he carries too much speed through the apex of 13 and has to check up on the 14, which is the right-hander before going under the hotel bit. No, so this is the left-hander, the first left-hander under the hotel, and he has to check up on the second left-hander where Latifi bend it in 21. You guys know that place, right? That's the only place I can call it, and everybody's like, oh, I know that one because we can't forget about it. So the second left-hander under the hotel, he bottles it there. Just carries a bit too much speed in, honestly, but he does end up losing over a tenth through that. So between Leclerc and Verstappen, it was literally about putting the lap together. Where are your corner names? Does anybody know the corner names for this track? I don't think this track has corner names that anyone has ever used. Maybe Crofty might use some of them this weekend. Sainz, just quickly, Sainz Q1 elimination. Sainz just didn't put it together, honestly. He basically lost most of his time through 6, 7. And then Hamilton, basically here's Hamilton versus Russell. Hamilton versus Russell is a tenth in turn 1, rolling speed into turn 1, and then the final corner. And if you look at some of Hamilton's laps earlier in that session, he was getting them better. So I think Lewis just struggling with the car and predictability, because when you see a driver like get a corner right sometimes and not the other times, it probably means it wasn't that straightforward and it was quite hard fought to get the lap time out of it. But I do believe Russell and Hamilton 11-11 tied in their qualifying head-to-head, which is not something I expected. I thought, over the qualifying shootout, I really thought Hamilton should have the advantage there, but I think more often than not, Hamilton's had a tough time in qualifying this year. So, very interesting. Very interesting. You guys ready for the race? We got, 9 minutes too? Let's see what's happening in the race. We've got grid interviews, we've got people chatting, we've got people fitting tires. Any questions from the qualifying, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you guys for the level 1 hype train, by the way. Did you get an answer for the Clear's weird throttle application? Let me go back to that. Let me rephrase that. So on Twitter, I posted something about Leclerc basically does this thing that a lot of drivers have done in the past, where you hold partial throttle, like 1 or 2 or 3, maybe even 5% throttle going through a low speed corner. And my argument was that does not make any sense on the V6 hybrids in the way that everything works. On the V8s, applying the throttle during braking can do certain things for you, but my argument is that it looks like a strange or old driver habit that he's basically struggling to get rid of. Exactly. Andres says, if you had a fixed limited slip differential setup, then yes, applying torque under braking, so applying throttle under braking, can change the car balance. And yes, applying throttle under braking on one of these cars can also change the balance. But my argument is that it doesn't make sense. And a lot of people took my comments out of context to say that I was criticizing Leclerc. Leclerc's been one of the best qualifiers in Formula 1 for the last couple of years. Surely it's working for him. My argument is that it's probably quite a bit to handle for his engineers to consistently set up the car around that. And it's something that you're playing with when you could actually set up the car so that you didn't need to do that. And so to me, it looks more like an old habit that's difficult to shake. And from a setup point of view, that's difficult. But I've been labeled as very dismissive and rude because I'm not willing to listen to people's suggestions that there's another alternative, when they basically just keep saying the same stuff that you read in any news publication. Like it's like it's not new information to the story. It doesn't help explain this. Yeah, it definitely works in cars to do something, and it will do something, but I'm saying you can achieve those effects in a much more simple, more controllable way in F1 with the current power units. In a non-brake-by-wire system car, yeah, fine. F2 is a fixed limited slip. You've got preload and ramps. So you can change the diff locking and drive and the diff locking and braking, as well as the preload quantity. So you're saying we should listen to someone with a decade of experience in F1 engineering as opposed to self-described experts on Twitter? I mean, let's be honest. I literally closed that statement with the fact that, like, if anybody, I said basically, if you're Leclerc's performance engineer, can you please DM me? I know they're not going to. But, like, I have worked with drivers that had that technique in the past, which I don't think anybody else that's replied has done that. And many times, it's not a good thing, and it's very, very inconsistent to control. And I'm sure Leclerc is super, super, super good. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't know. If I say anything, I'm not a nice person. If I don't say anything, I don't know. Yo, dude, Beatster, thank you for the raid over on Twitch, man. I super, super appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it. And if I say one thing, I'm not a nice person, and I've got nothing but people basically baiting me to say that I'm a prick. I'm like, I'm just... yeah, it's frustrating. Like, repeating the same thing over and over doesn't really add anything to the conversation. How's the tire wear from Merc from Free Practice, says Krishna. Tire wear, we cannot determine. So if you us on the internet, the only people that know tire wear are the team themselves and Pirelli. Who did you work for in F1? I worked for Force India and Red Bull Racing. Turk, Carlos complained people were giving him dirty air on purpose in qualifying. That was inventing. Yeah, and it's just frustrating for me because if I had mentioned any other driver, or if I'd mentioned no driver and brought it up as a discussion topic without context of a driver, it would have been a much different conversation. But the fact that people saw that I mentioned Leclerc, they thought they had to go defend him when there was no offense in the first place. I don't know. I'm going to stop using Twitter, or stop interacting with those types of people on the internet because it's a waste of time and energy. Sync time. Oh, so if you're using, right. If you are joining us, we're going to do a little something. So my name's Blake, aka Break, former F1 performance engineer, current F1 content creator and technical analyst, using everything I've learned over the past 12 years to help try and explain what I see in the data, what I see in the telemetry, what I see happening on TV to you. And I'm sharing that with you guys now on Twitch and YouTube. So during the race, if you've got multi-viewer for F1, load it up, set your sync time to 28 seconds, or sorry, set your sync time to 32 seconds, and then join me for the race as we'll talk through it, we'll watch it together, and I'll tell you what I see happening. I'll give you insight. If you have questions, please do share them with me. And yeah, I'm watching the international F1 stream. International. Happy final race day of the season, everyone. And let me see if I can pin that comment. What's your guess for the top five? Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris, Perez, Russell. Any plans for off-season? I'm going to write a lot of analytical content, publish some videos and YouTubes, make some basics explainers to like help get more people in the loop on F1 telemetry and data, so that like when I do a report, it's easier to digest it and help explain like a lot, spend a bit more time explaining the details of it. We've got a couple things in the works that I can't talk about right now, but yeah. Advic says, is Buy Me a Coffee paid? It's both. On my Buy Me a Coffee, which is where I share like my technical and analysis newsletter, there are free and paid articles. Every qualifying and race is usually paid, but last week I did an entire qualifying and race thing, and starting next season there might be another way that you can access all of this analytical content. So we'll see. Do any explainers for GT3 or WEC? Robbie, to be confirmed. Time window? Sabu, repeat question. So let's look at the race start tires. Everybody up to the top 12 on the medium. Stroll is on a used hard. Sainz in P16 on a hard, and Bottas on 18 in a hard. Everybody else new mediums. Albon used medium. Sargent used medium. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. What is it a race engineer doing Monday to Wednesday? Analyze the race, then prepare for the next race. Yeah, Robbie, I'm working on something, and I might get a little bit more experience in that field starting soon. TBC, work in progress. So, Let's get moving for the formation lap. Ladies and gentlemen, the tire warmer ban is banned, thank God. Pirelli, I don't think, can make a warmerless tire, and I don't think it's the right thing to do for Formula 1. You will spend more time doing warm-up laps to warm up the tires than you will spend on... You will spend more fuel doing laps to warm up the tires than you will spend on the generators to run the tire blankets. It does, like, the economics of that do not make any sense at all. Like, even with these tires with tire warmers, some runs you have to do 2 build laps. So... yeah, they've sacked the plan for now, but they'll keep working on it. The sun usually is up at the start of the race and it sets through the race. Death Mist, thank you for the Prime for 11 months, man. Chat, are you guys ready for the shenanigans on lap 1 or not? Verstappen, Leclerc, Piastri, Russell, Norris. Cars that are out of place, we've got Hamilton in P11, Sainz in P16, and Perez 9, Hamilton 11, Sainz 16. So let's see. I've got another one. How many race positions on lap 1 do you think Stroll will make up? Stroll last season was a race start demon. This season, thereabouts, not so much. None? Okay. Oh my God, Andy, terrible. Terrible. Up 4, down 2. Stroll down 7. Oof. A nice little message from Yuki to Franz on the lap to grid there. Franz Toss, team principal of AlphaTauri, will be retiring at the end of the season. Stroll on a hard tire for the race start, maybe struggle. I think the run down to turn 1 is not insanely long, A, and it's flat, B, but the hard tire on the race start here could be interesting. So let's keep an eye out on that. Our hard tire starters to see if they go backwards. But to be fair, the difference in tire compounds versus the variability on different drivers and their race starts is plenty enough. Right, lining up on the grid now. Max did a couple of burnouts here. I want to go back and look at everybody's start procedures for the season, see how many burnouts they're doing consistently per compound. Right, we're lined up. We've got the final few cars rounding the final corner. And the lights are out. Leclerc's got a good start, side by side. Plenty. Is that Russell inside of Norris? Side by side. And then Hamilton and Perez wheel to wheel there. Hamilton up 3. Great start from him. Stroll, no change. Okay. Right, so Verstappen, Leclerc, Piastri, Norris, Russell. Hamilton's up 3 in P8. And Yuki and Alonso swaps positions. Let's go. Leclerc, he's going for it. Has he done him? Side by side. No. He has to switch back and he has to check up. And now he's going to be under pressure from the McLaren getting a drive out of turn 6. Not turn 6. It is turn 6. Ah, let's go. I love it. Close side by side. No DRS for Leclerc, but he's... neither of them have DRS. The Ferrari's top speed advantage without DRS is very similar top speed between the two cars. It's just a little bit of being that close. Let's... I mean, Leclerc's going to get 1 or 2 laps to do this, and then I think they're into tire conservation mode. Last year was a mostly 2-stop with conservation, but Leclerc and Verstappen 1-stopped with lots of tire saving. So Leclerc's settled in a little bit. Weird seeing Max defend. Yeah. Yeah, I know. He hasn't had to do that too much this season. No shenanigans for lap 1, ladies and gentlemen. Right, winners and losers. Albon down 4, Magnussen down 2, Hulkenberg down 6. And Perez is dropped 1. Do you have a pit loss number here? No. It'll be 20-ish. Looking at that pit lane. 20-something. I think Lando will be coming through on Piastri soon. I mean, we're getting Piastri putting some pressure on Leclerc now. 0.8 of a second. I mean, realistically, what we don't need to see right now is Piastri and Norris taking pace off of each other fighting. They need to see both of them coming through on Leclerc. Piastri purple sector 1 right now, 0.3 faster than Verstappen, on par with Leclerc's sector 1. Have we had any gaps broken through the field? Signs, gap to Stroll 1.6. We'll keep an eye on that. Signs to Stroll 1.6. But Signs is up 3 from the race start. DRS is now enabled. Leclerc is outside of Verstappen's DRS currently. So both the McLarens with DRS on, but Ferrari no DRS on Verstappen. Russell, Perez through on Hamilton. Yeah, I mean, I think Hamilton knows that Perez will be faster than him this race. And by not fighting that and burning up his tires, he can probably make up for it later on. Behind Hamilton is Ocon, who, considering the top speed of the Alpine, might give him a little bit of trouble, honestly. Leclerc with a great start. A little bit of an edge on Verstappen through and through, but no major mistakes from either of them. Side by side, Piastri and Russell through turn 1-2. McLaren battle will be fun this race. I hope we don't get mired down in them talking about let me race. Piastri overtaken. Okay, we're watching the race replay while Piastri overtakes Norris. Good job. I understand that one, though. Fair play. Norris has overtaken Piastri. I think they might be going back and forth, back and forth. On board with Perez. I mean, to be fair, this is not the right time to be looking at the race start. I understand that the TV director needs to run the race start replays, but honestly, we should have waited until lap 10. Honestly. The directors have a script and they just stick to it, even though it doesn't make any sense. I mean, Norris is passed, right? But he's hanging on to the gap. Look, Verstappen has dropped Leclerc now. Lando, purple lap. That means he set the fastest lap of the race currently with a 30.18. Last lap was Leclerc's personal best, a 30.45. So Norris closing on Leclerc. Leclerc does not have DRS on Verstappen. Norris will have DRS on Leclerc. Magnussen has pit on lap 6. Magnussen went off of a 5-lap-old medium onto a hard. Interesting. Does anybody understand what happened with Magnussen there? Was that lockup enough to warrant a tire change? Martin just said the exact same thing I said. Let me in there, Martin. Come on, man. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't hit the thumbs up or like button, do click that like button. It helps us out massively. Norris holding gap. Norris has dropped Piastri. Russell within DRS on Piastri. Tsunoda hanging on to that group. Hamilton not really able to... I mean, Perez made up the race start. I think Hamilton gave it back. Perez has not come through on Gasly. And that is concerning. Leclerc track limits. Oofed. P2 in the constructors. It's hard to say. The P2 in the constructors, as if he finishes it right now, there's 3 points ahead Ferrari advantage. Norris already starting to struggle with his tires a little bit. Russell possibly coming through on Piastri soon. So Lando says a little bit of degradation, but nothing much. Very little radio communications from Lando right now. Go on, George. Straight through. But is he too deep? Is it going to stick? Turn 9 is so much better now. I love that. Piastri holds position going into 12. I mean, this is going to hurt Piastri massively. Ricciardo might have a front brake overheating due to debris in the brake duct. The other things that can get into the brake ducts are marbles of rubber, like crumbs, can get in there and block up part of the thing. Damn it, M. Yeah, so problems with Ricciardo's car, it's very likely debris and one of the brake ducts. They'll have to see. So, yeah, they've pit Ricciardo off of a medium, I believe. Yeah, they pit him off of a 7-lap-old medium. That's way too early to stop, but they only stopped because this track can be very hard on your brakes, and if you push the brakes into, let's say, too high of a temperature, they start wearing out at an exceptionally rapid rate. And Formula One brakes, it is very possible to exceed the maximum wear so that the brake is not safe to use in a single race. Asian, what's up, man? Asian Skills, what's going on, dude? The thing. I think Tsunoda's driving quite well. 31 flats, a couple tenths off of the cars ahead of him. I hate when you get De Vries stuck on your tires. I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you can get the brake marbles that block up some of the small apertures and cooling ducts. Pato Award on the pit wall, hanging out. Nice to see De Vries get a WEC drive in the number 7 Toyota, along with Kumugi. And who's the other driver in that car? There's Kobayashi, De Vries, and who in car 7? What happened to Albon? He went backwards on the race start. No, Buimi's on car 8 with I can't think of the other Japanese driver, but also I've got a brain fart. The Kiwi dude. Russell Piastri again. Same move. No got. Piastri's got that move figured out. You're not going to do Piastri into 9. You're not doing Piastri into turn 9. Lopez has left car 7. That's who De Vries is replacing. Hamilton and Perez sitting still. Russell's lap times are still reasonable. He's making Piastri work quite hard for it, but Piastri to Norris only 1.8. Are you from Texas? Vishak? Yeah, I am from Dallas. Mike Conway. There we go, brother. Oh, hell yeah, brother. Lando dropped off to conserve the tires, possibly. And 1.3 seconds is... Around here, you'll probably not hurt the tires too much. Russell having another look, I think. Russell's close. Show me Russell, you terrible TV director. No, he's not doing it. I mean, Sainz hasn't overtaken Stroll. I don't think he's going to overtake Lewis. I'm a little bit underwhelmed by some of the drivers in the pack. Very underwhelmed by some of the drivers in the pack right now. I think we're looking at a reasonable amount of tire management. Has anybody seen any messages to imply tire management? Very few overtakes on track, correct. Very few. We've had Hamilton and Perez, swippy-swappy, Norris and Piastri, swippy-swappy. Zhou's moving forward. So, Piastri's engineer told him tire management looks good, so they are management. Ooh, Piastri with a big lock there. Was that Piastri with the big lock? Yeah, Russell's going to have a much better advantage into 9. Russell is ahead into 9. Did he go? No, Russell's managed the entry speed. He's got that. Engineer chat distraction, I know. So Piastri has just been told on the radio, okay, let's use the pace. We want to clear a gap to Tsunoda. Piastri to Tsunoda right now, that doesn't make any sense. I guess they basically need a pit gap if Tsunoda boxes, and they're only 1 second ahead. So they want to be able to do opposite Tsunoda when they get to a point. It looks like Piastri's done the tires. Max, front right, opening up a little bit, so that means the front right tire is starting to struggle. Corners that will be hurting that is definitely turn 1, turn 5, and especially turn 9. And then you'll feel the brunt of that in the low speed corners as well, in 13, 14 under the hotel. Finishing in this order, Ferrari is 1 point ahead in the constructors. Perez and Gasly right now. Perez does it into 9, and he's definitely conserved his speed. Gasly's not coming back from that one. When do the front tires get hurt more than the rears? When you hurt the front tires, when you tend to have longer duration corners that are relatively higher speed. When you start to hurt the rears more, you have a lot more traction zones typically. High speed corners can also hurt rears as well, so it really depends. But it's a lot about those really long duration corners that tend to hurt fronts the most. Tsunoda hanging on to 6th quite handsomely. Perez will be attacking Yuki soon, I believe. Alonso's in the pits right now. Alonso with a decent stop there. Nothing terrible. Your front hurts the most. Hey Grim, how you doing, bro? Good morning. Merc 2 draggy Ferrari for P2. I mean, Merc may be draggier than the Ferrari this race, but let's see what happens at the end of stint 1. We're on lap 13, and we don't really have a good indication of what the tires are doing. Max is doing a 130.5 last lap, and his fastest lap is a 130.4. So this looks like Max pushing at the beginning when the car was heavy to defend against Leclerc, but also now just kind of chilling, being able to bang out consistent lap times. The same, I mean, Norris's fastest lap was a 30.18, and now he's down to 31. So Norris managing tires. Leclerc has opened up a 3-second gap to Norris. So in terms of outright pace, the McLarens do not look to be able to compete with the Ferraris, or at least Leclerc. Piastri is now in the pit. Is he going to... I mean, we're pitting on lap 1. We've got 45 laps left. If he's done 14 laps on a medium, do you expect him to do 44, 45 laps on a hard? Not sure. Sainz is, yeah, chilling. Sainz had a great start, and now he's chilling. The fastest lap of the race right now is Ricciardo, just set a 29.8 a couple laps ago. Good morning from East Texas. Good morning from the United Kingdom. 2 stop from that point? I think so. Safety car likelihood here? Unless we see some wheel banking, I don't think so. Stroll is putting pressure on Ocon. Ocon close to Hamilton, and Hamilton close to Gasly. Miles, dude, thank you for the tier 1, dude. Piastri's struggling with the brakes quite a bit. Lando's in. Russell's in. Okay, so maybe a 2-stop? Norris gets done by Russell in the pits. Not a great start. Norris a 5.1. What's powerful here? Overcut or undercut? I'm not sure. I would tell you if I knew, but I'm genuinely not sure. Does Lewis have a damaged front wing after running into the back of Gasman? Question? Question? I can't see it from here. So we've got the replay here. Oh, so Gasly does lock up and Hamilton tags him. That was a big send from Lewis as well. Kind of a passenger once you've committed to that, though. Push me, hit me. So they both in the pit now. Hamilton's done a front wing swap. And Ocon is pit. No front wing change for Lewis. So what's damaged on the front wing? I can't see it. Oh, the end plate is kind of twisted. No? Yeah, I think some people will be pushing, whether it's a danger or not, they'll be pushing them to be like, oh, he's got a damaged car. Any. Russell on the Williams, easy. Do we got a front wing camera on Hamilton's car? No, we don't have front wing. Front left end plate is slightly cambered outwards. Hamilton threw on Ocon quite easily. Easily through. Are end plates necessary? It depends. So, yeah, so Lewis has said he's definitely lost some front end. Max is in. So a pit loss here, probably 24 seconds. Question? If they weren't needed, they wouldn't be there. That's not true. I think they're there strictly for the rules, but I don't think they're strictly needed. The rules dictate what they look like and how they go. McLaren's got a problem with these nuts. Huh. So if the pit loss is something like 24 seconds, I reckon. Does anybody have pit loss times for this track, by the way? Ocon having a look. Ocon's not done with Hamilton. Was that a slow stop for Leclerc? No, it's fine. 2-8. Perez in as well. Russell fastest lap. Perez 2.4. Yuki race leader currently doing 131s on a 17 lap old medium. It's got to be a 2-stop from here, right? Yep, shut the... No, I'm just kidding. Why did you delete that? That was a good message. You know what? Yeah, but you want to be a mod? Fuck no. Science stops, he comes out P15 right now or something. Do you think Logan will drive for Williams next year? I think so. Do you think the Hamilton-Russell driver combo is too competitive for when they fight for a title? I'm not a big fan of two number one drivers, honestly. And right now, the way they're in qualifying, their head-to-head is kind of two number one feel to me. I don't know. And then in race, I mean, what's the drivers' championship between the two? Hamilton's clear of Russell in the drivers' championship this year, but I think probably Hamilton's had more underperformances on a Saturday. Gasly has been undercut. John on the radio. But Gasly also had a fuck up on a lap, so if he gets undercut from locking up and getting tagged by Hamilton and he loses a couple seconds, of course he's going to get undercut. But I don't know the gap between them, so... Yeah, I think Nico Lewis Mercedes was not a good dynamic if you wanted... I mean, they won everything anyway, but still. Senna and Prost worked out pretty well, didn't it? Do you think Red Bull's setup, sacrifice overall setup for qualifying? No. They're trying to... You basically set up the car as fast as you can for a single lap in qualifying with a bit of context for setting up for the race, but I don't think they're leaving loads of time on the board for race pace. Piastri threw on Valtteri Bottas. Weird to think that Gasly and Ocon have more race wins than Lando Norris. That is odd. His time is coming. He's a good one. Alonso threw on Bottas. Classic Bottas just going backwards. Bottas on his first stop. I mean, Bottas hasn't stopped, and he's still nearly 20 seconds off. Will we see a downfall of Red Bull next year? No, I think Red Bull are going to be even faster than everyone else next year. Gut feeling. George is faster than both McLarens. Looks like. So Sainz hasn't stopped yet, and he's let Leclerc through. I hate team orders. No, I'm just kidding. That makes total sense. No further action. Hamilton on Gasly. That makes perfect sense. That would be silly to give anybody a penalty for that, honestly. Wait, Sainz probably looking at a one stop right now. Lap 20, he's got 38 left. No. Oh, Sainz is going to have to go a lot further because he started on the hard. Break, Miss Hellcat is faster than you. That sun shot, beautiful. Yeah, I mean, Sainz on the hard. What's his lap times? He's doing 32, so everybody else around him is literally 2 seconds a lap faster. So Russell should come through. Norris and Piastri should come through on Sainz soon. Perez flying 3 fast laps in a row. I mean, Perez is basically net nowhere relative to the start. Or maybe up 1. Because you've got Stroll and Sainz to pit. I had a lecture from Gary Savage from Braun GP, and he said one of the most dangerous things is a race engineer with an opinion. What does Gary do? But that's not a bad thing. Maybe not an opinion, but a strong opinion is dangerous. Toto on the radio just giving a little bit of a pump up message. I'm not a fan of that at all. I get it though. It makes sense. Not even as remotely as bad as AC Turnbull with an opinion. Yo, what up, bro? Tsunoda in finally. Where's Tsunoda coming out? Tsunoda's coming out P12, and he'll have Ocon with warm tires on his ass. Tsunoda on a hard. Ocon on a 7-lap old hard. Tsunoda to P12. From race lead to P12. There's also a lot of people that have opinions that don't have as much information to make an opinion. Max is currently the race leader, 4.5 seconds ahead of Leclerc. Battles, upcoming struggles. I think the next thing we're going to see is Piastri closing the gap to Sainz, who is possibly trying to hard medium one-stop this. I mean, if there's a safety car, Sainz will benefit relatively. Other scraps, Perez to Alonso, 0.5 second gap. Perez on 6-lap newer tires. Sargent 5 laps to the end will Bennett. Safety car. Was Yuki doing better on 20-lap old mediums? I don't have a time history of the laps. All right, Sainz is in. Sainz has done 24 laps. And he's Carlos is fit hards. Yeah, Carlos confirmed 2-stop. Are we on board with? Wow. What are the chances Lando gets P5 in the championship? He's currently 1 point ahead of Alonso right now. Norris needs to score 6 more points than Alonso. And then he wins. Gasly not happy that he's slow. John, good on the radio there. He says, we've got damage, we've lost performance. We are gaining on the front, keeping Gasly focused. Gasly is closing the gap to Bottas, but clearly, I mean, Gasly is 3 seconds back on Ocon, his teammate. Do you think the soft tires might be a factor at the end? I'm not thinking so. Maybe so. Andreas, dude. I'm not going to say that out loud. You would be very I would be pissed as a race engineer. But I'm not going to share that opinion out loud because yeah. Alfa Romeo, yeah. I mean, they basically have all the bad things of the Ferrari and none of the good things of the Ferrari. So Perez half a second to Piastri, currently lapping very similar lap time, maybe only a tenth faster. So, I mean, he's definitely going to be closing that gap soon. Setting one of my onboards to Perez right now. Will Sauber use all the Ferrari components again next year? Possibly. But they kind of need to start building their own stuff. The 2026 car will be a lot different, though. Are they going to go back to Sauber branding next year, then? As Alpha's out? Looks like it. That makes the most sense. Audi are not putting their name on the car until the engine's on the car, though. That is my understanding. Perez through on Piastri. So, 4 seconds to Norris. Let's see if Perez's pace increases, because Perez and Norris also similarly paced. Alpha branding is moving to Haas, apparently. That makes sense. I mean, and then basically Haas will be the Ferrari sister team, and they already have a close technical relationship anyway. The kid was so sad that she was on TV with that crowd shot. Oh my god, that name. What the what are the Haas doing? And also the Williams. Fucking depressed to see that. Currently, in the current order, no changes in the constructors. If Norris finishes here, he's up 2. If Sainz finishes where he finishes, he drops 3 positions. Leclerc P6, he's so fucking unlucky. Verstappen 6-second gap to Leclerc. I mean, Leclerc's not slow, but he's not fast enough to put any pressure on Max. Are they going to try to go to the end on this? Can they do 29 more laps on this hard tire? I mean, last year we saw the exact same thing. Max and Leclerc squeaking out a one-stop. Yep. Freud Sigmund and all 20 cars still on track. Battle for third. Striking distance in 3 laps. Alonso versus Hamilton. Why? The AWS graphics don't make any sense. It's a 3-second gap, and their pace difference is 0.2 a lap. Coffee, dude, thank you for 19 months of tier 1, homie. I mean, Hamilton should be in striking distance in 2 more laps, guys. At a pace gap of 0.3 a second, he has to close the 3-second gap in 3 laps. Yeah, so on the tire compounds, C1 is the hardest or C0 is the hardest compound they have, and C5 is the softest. Blind Monk, what's up, dude? Checo's pushing quite fast. All right, James. It's Crofty. Did Toto just tell Lewis he's the fastest car on track? Did that just happen? Houseboat, dude, thank you for the tier 1 for 17 months. I forgot it's sub tier. I watched all season on track. No, he's about a second to lap off. I'm not even going to say anything. Hamilton did one fast lap as far as I can see. Anyway, I mean, so they've got to stop again. Hamilton possibly best finish. If nothing crazy happens, Hamilton best finish P7. Could I be? I'm happy to be wrong. I'm just vibing out right here. Ten laps ago during that lap. Okay, so he was giving him a good pep talk. What is this graphic on the bottom right corner of the screen? It looks like some tire treads. Does this show us which driver we're looking at? Dodging attacks while giving getting. I'm like this. Ricardo race in the mud. Nothing to be expected from Daniel's race. Gasly's race over. What happened to the Williams quality pace? It doesn't exist for more than one lap. The tires can't take it. Yeah, I'm sure they just pay the fine. But most of them use tape, no? Some of them add some small bits of paint. But some people just use tape. What happened to Tsunoda? Tsunoda had stayed out. He was leading. I think he's roughly back about to where he was before the stop sequence. Now Tsunoda's lost out from 6th overall to 9th. Hamilton's one out and Alonso's one out. They're slightly faster. Norris 2.3 solid stop there. So that's unleashed Perez. Perez 5 seconds to Russell. Now Russell is apparently closing to Leclerc. 1.8 gap from Russell to Leclerc. A couple laps ago, the gap from Verstappen to Leclerc was 6 seconds. So Max slowly eking out that gap. Sainz. Yeah. Yikes. How much of it is the car versus the driver? If you're stuck behind Max in a Williams car, how do you think he would do? If you stuck Max behind a Williams car, Max would go... I don't think Max would have that much more pace than the guys have in that car now. Like, I think the skill gap in terms of outright pace on a single lap through the grid, your best driver versus your worst driver is maybe 0.4 of a second. Russell always trying to do the alternative strategies. Like, are you sure we can't make these tires last? Yeah, just do another, do a whole another race distance on them. We'll see how it goes. Like probably an outright single lap pace, 0.4. Now, over a race, yeah, Sainz and Russell trying to be strategists very rarely is a benefit. I mean, Sainz has looked like a legend a couple times when the Ferrari pit wall last year was completely on crack. But other than that, nah, ain't the play. Leclerc's in. 18 laps on a hard? What's going on? Medium, hard, hard. What's that about? Where's he going to come out? So Russell's outlap was outlap critical. He's come out ahead of Norris. Okay, Norris made the stop work. Hamilton has also stopped. I had a race engineer tell the driver to shut up and drive when he tried to do strategy. I respect that. Max is basically a tenth of a second off of his fastest lap. Unless he's massively saving, he doesn't have anything to do. If he pits now, he comes out P3 on track. Max has just done fastest lap, 28.9. Max said, give Checo pit priority. Max knows that he's about 16 seconds behind because he's been watching the TV. Maybe he's told him the gap. I don't know. Max to check. Let's see what Max has said. Gap 8.8. No. Yeah, Max just said you can box him if you want. Shut up and drive, Max. Yeah, exactly. Put Vettel on the stream. I haven't talked to Seb since 2017. I'm sure he's having a good life doing his thing. Norris threw on Stroll. So basically, he's lost out to Russell on that, effectively. Hamilton's going to do Alonso here. Easy. Yeah, no shenanigans the whole race, honestly. I mean, Verstappen's still doing 28.9s. Basically, the fastest car on the track right now is a Russell on his his first time lap, so 28.6, and he settled back into 28.9s. Max is on 21 lap old tires doing that lap time. So far, a boring race compared to Vegas. Yeah, not so much to talk about, honestly. Alonso, slowest car on the straight by far. GP2. Albon track limits. Hamilton is rapid with the broken wing, probably because at the pit stop they just offset the front flap to make up for how much load they've lost from the bent end plate. And Hamilton on Alonso. Get it done. The Mercedes isn't that much faster. Brake tested. Did he? Alonso, you dirty dog. Alonso Hamilton driving erratically. Yikes. So let's look at racing gaps and where the interesting stuff is happening. I don't know, honestly. Norris to Tsunoda, maybe? Piastri with a lot of lockups this race. Piastri with a lot of lockups. Ocon, 24 lap old hards, lapping 3 seconds off the front. Yikes. Yikes. Perez chilling 28.9, his personal best currently. Yeah, Perez has got pace. He got hands. His gap to Leclerc is... I mean, Leclerc is 4/10 a second a lap faster. They both set personal bests last lap. It looks like Leclerc is trying to close up. What's Perez's likely stop? What's Russell going on about? Why is Russell worried about... Oh, Russell's basically like... Yeah. Russell needs to overtake Alonso. Or, sorry, Russell needs... Yeah. What's Russell's likelihood of scoring points? Russell's not going any further up. If Russell finishes there, that's his best. Hamilton down P12. Is Max one stopping? I don't know. I mean, I don't know when these tires are going to start to drop off. If Max pits now, he comes out behind Perez. If Perez pits now, he comes out around Norris? Around? Sainz waiting for a safety car. Hail Mary. I don't think thoughts and prayers and Hail Marys are the right strategy, no? They're only 1 point ahead of Mercedes, and they're banking on a possibility of a safety car. Does this make sense? I don't know what his race looks like because I can't see the race trace now, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Perez in. He's going to come out ahead of Russell? Or sorry, ahead of Norris. No, he'll come out behind Tsunoda. Oops. I missed that. Miscalculated. Tsunoda will probably stop again? I think Tsunoda could do it, possibly. Max is bidding. Max will come out in the lead again. Max has a free stop. The longest hard stint we've seen so far is, I believe, 26 laps, which is what Max has done, and Tsunoda's on lap 20 with 16 to go. What is Max going back out on? Hards. 15 laps on the hards. They prefer the hard tire. Ocon is 20. Yeah, Ocon's not really a good reference because Ocon was dog slow. Okay. Ocon did 27 laps on the hards. But he's only 7/10 off his fastest, so the hard is a relatively stable tire. Maybe Tsunoda can go to the end. Sainz, try to go to the end. Piastri on a hard tire has the current fastest lap of the race at a 28.13. I expect Max to first lap to be a little bit slower than he'll push, but he doesn't really have any concern. He's 5 seconds ahead of Leclerc. Pit stop infringement for Hamilton? Question? What is that about? If they get a penalty in a pit stop and they lose to Ferrari by 1 point, so Perez threw on Tsunoda. Okay, Max only has hards or softs left. Okay, no mediums. I didn't see tires remaining before the race, so. Ferrari leading Mercedes by 2 points in the constructors. What is the pit stop infringement? Let's see what the Twitter says. Slowest car on the straights, side by side with the Ferrari? Question? Leclerc 2 strikes for track limits. Yeah, I know. Max having more gearbox issues. It's probably just clutch, a little bit of clutch wear and the shifts changing quality. That you probably won't hear too much about that again. He's sensitive with his downshifts, mate. Max DNF incoming. I'm checking out of this one, chat. It's not happening much. Perez hit Norris? Question? Gasly pit stop infringement? Oh, they touched? Oh, no. Uh-oh. Who's in trouble? Hamilton looking at signs? No? The hopes and prayers waiting for a pit stop? And Lando yeeted quite a bit of distance. Oh, go on, Lewis. Signs on those dead tires. But, nah, it's done now. It's done. Turn 9 is good now for sure, but the rest of the track can get in the bin. He understood into me? He turned into me? Which one is it? Paris through. Interesting. Ah, shit happens, right? Norris not happy with that. 10 laps to go. I don't... I mean, a penalty? Interesting. I mean, you're not really supposed to do it based on the outcome, but the outcome was nothing fucking happened. What? Ted might have something new to... Somebody has reported Mercedes for their mechanics not having their visors down during the pit stop. Yeah, they're not going to give a position for that. There's no way. Yeah, they'll get a fine. Yeah, Ferrari with the Hail Mary trying to get a safety car for Carlos. And they're like, the goggles. Fucking hell. Mm. Yeah, that's a couple nice bottles of wine for the FIA. It goes to charity, and most of the stewards are volunteers. Exactly. Derek Work and its mates are going to be drinking a bottle of Vino Tinto tonight. Leclerc with the 5-head plays saying, let me push Russell back into Perez. Or let me let Russell overtake me. Oh. Interesting. Penalty for Checo. Sainz, if he pit stops out of the points, that will put Mercedes to 3 points ahead. I have they fucked Sainz here? Or has Sainz played himself by not making up enough positions in the first stint? It was the same in Vegas. It was the exact same in Vegas. Martin. Interesting. Verstappen's 10 seconds ahead of Leclerc. Nothing. Interesting. I think that ticked all the boxes. I think it ticked the boxes. That was a little bit of an odd one. Interesting. Who knows? Yeah, Sainz has to change tires. He's done 2 hards. So, will they basically just finish the race and pit on the last lap? I don't think the safety car thing was ever on for them. Lucas, why is Ferrari like that? I have no idea, man. Imagine the Haas binning it right now. Or Bottas maybe, or a show. It's like, hey, mate, you want to keep your seat next season? Put it in the wall. No, but it won't even help them now. Too late. I don't know if they had a better card. I think their race was probably undone by Sainz not really making up any progress in the first stint. But realistically, very few drivers made progress in the first stint if they were out of order. Who made progress in the first stint? Bottas and Zhou made up a place due to people pitting behind them. Nobody, if you were in the pack, nobody made up positions during the first stint. Is Perez going to do Russell? 5 seconds, half a second a lap faster than him? Yeah. So, oh my God, he's done it. Easy turn 9. Does he go wide or does he hold the line? No. Russell's done. So if Perez can pull a gap to Russell, Ferrari, go up. I mean, Checo's on the podium right now, but he needs to get a 5-second gap to Russell. And he's already 1 second clear of him after that overtake. Roger, I agree with you. Yeah, Leclerc needs to back up and give Leclerc needs to back up and give Perez a tow. Red Bull, no. Russell had one job. Perez 1.5, Russell. But also, Leclerc's... Russell, if Russell closes up the gap to Leclerc and Perez can't overtake Leclerc... You see where I'm going with that? If they don't pit Sainz, I don't know. It's a disqualification. If they do not pit Sainz, it's a DSQ. Classic disqualification. So they will pit him. Perez is already 2 seconds on Russell in one lap. There's no way he can drive 5 seconds on Russell. He's already done 2 seconds in one lap, so... Yeah. Yeah. What was the strategy? Thoughts and prayers, like usual. World-class Formula 1 team. I can't do any better job, but I'm just saying, hopefully the people they're paying can do a better job. Mission A, complete 3 more laps. Don't know what Mission A is. Well, the way they went hard was they had already commit to the safety car play at that point, from what I can tell, which doesn't really... Yeah, you can't box on the last lap. You have to run a lap on it. So Sainz loses a 1 point for P10. That makes the gap Ferrari. Box. Sainz in with 2 to go, so he'll do 1 lap on it. Frustration. Why? If you guys want to talk about this, we'll probably do the Engine Braking Podcast tomorrow or Tuesday night. So if you're not following the Engine Braking Podcast on YouTube, you should do it. And we'll talk about all this in detail. Get me, Engine Mode 11, and we'll chat some mess real quick. Alonso done Tsunoda there. Russell lap time deleted. Uh, track limits tracker. Albon's got 4 track limits violations. Oof. No way. Does that work? Is he doing it? Is he doing it? Max has led 1,000 laps this season. 1,000. Leclerc is doing it. 1.3 second gap. 0.5 second gap. Oh, he's overtaken him. But Leclerc's just lost himself points, no? Leclerc just give... Did Leclerc just give up P2? No, but that's cost him points. Oh, Leclerc still gets P2. Fine. 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 Just checking. So Leclerc will keep P2. No, it doesn't work out. It doesn't play. So Leclerc's going to try to hold him up. Is Leclerc going to back him up? Or is Leclerc just going to... He has to slow him down if he wants this to work. He basically has to back him up into the final corner, and he's not doing it. Fucking hell. Doesn't work. 4 seconds. No, Bottas and Magnussen are down a lot. Merc gets second. They should have done it a lap sooner and he could have backed him up properly. I'm 2 laps, it would have worked, yeah. Right, so what do we got? Hamilton. So Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell is the podium. Paris P4, Norris and Piastri just outside. Tsunoda beats Hamilton. Tsunoda does Hamilton. Holy. Max Verstappen. Was it 54 career wins? The infringements won't do anything, though. The teams will get a fine. Sainz DNF'd. Yeah. He probably just drove into a fucking wall. Beautiful fireworks as well. There are a lot of Dutch flags in those stands. Holy crap. Lots of long final end of the year radio messages on that. Ferrari with the fumble. All missions complete. It was the 1,000 laps led was the mission. What is mission A? 19 win laps, 1,000 laps. Wild. Mission A was 1,000 laps. I thought so. Burnouts. Let's go. We got some donuts. Is anybody joining him? I don't think so. Watch that power unit blow up in testing next week. Ugh. Wasn't enough to throw out the diff? Nah, it'd be all right. Wild. Like, I appreciate that was probably not too thrilling for everybody to see it just kind of proceed like that. But at the same time, that's been him all season. Absolutely freaking flawless. And you could say it's the car. The other guy in the car hasn't done that same thing as he has. Red Bull have been insanely consistent. They've had basically one fumble, and that was just the setup with the car in Singapore, and that's it this season. They've been a little bit tight in a couple of other places, but they usually got it done. You know? Impressive. Very impressive. Love him or hate him. Very impressive. And I think the team deserve all the success. Giving Genty, his number one mechanic, a big ol' hug. Go on, lads. Do you have any ice, man? He's got a little bit more to give. Any predictions for next year's cars? Who knows? So here's what we've got this tomorrow, maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. The Buy Me a Coffee newsletter with the race analysis, with all the strategy will come out. Qualifying will be out after this. Dude, Olivier, dude, thank you for the 5,000 Japanese yen. Dude, I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to next year, but if you're looking forward to more content, don't forget to go to break.com or buymeacoffee.com/break. You don't have to join the memberships, but at least subscribe. So if I'm not live streaming, you will at least see what I'm working on. There will be a couple of members only posts, but I'll have several free articles over the winter. So do not miss out on that. The Engine Braking podcast will continue for a couple more episodes this season, and then the Break F1 podcast, which will be here on Break F1 on YouTube or Break F1 on Spotify, Apple Music, and all that other stuff. Get involved. Olivia, dude, thank you for the super chat, homie. I appreciate you guys a lot. So quickly, let's run down the results in the championship. Verstappen, Perez 1-2, Hamilton P3, Alonso P4, Leclerc 5th. Sainz loses 3 positions this event. Norris comes in 6th ahead of Sainz. Russell P8, Piastri 9, Stroll 10. Sargent 1 point dead last behind Magnussen, Zhou, Ricciardo. Tsunoda P14. Red Bull P1, 860 points. Mercedes P2, 409 points. Ferrari 3 points behind. If they had made that call sooner, it would have worked. McLaren 302, Aston Martin 280. Alpine 120, Williams 28, Alpha Tauri 25, Alfa Romeo 16, Haas 12. Boof. My top 5 prediction was spot on. I don't know if I said that. I think I had Leclerc. Oh wait, no, sorry. My top 5 in the race. I think it probably was correct. I'm kind of good at that. In the words of Stefan A, I'm having a very bad day. Oh no. So you hyped up for Daytona at the end of January? A little bit. Maybe I'll have some good news to share with you guys soon. I don't know. I'm working on it. But I skipped breakfast. I haven't had lunch. I'm fucking all over the shop today. I'm exhausted. I'm starving. I'm tired. I haven't showered. It's been a chaotic morning, but I want to say thank you guys for all the awesome streams, all the awesome hangouts. Thank you guys for all the interactions on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Buy Me a Coffee. And again, do be sure to check out the Buy Me a Coffee. There's a load of free stuff on there. So if you haven't, you should do it. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have an awesome break, but don't go anywhere because we will be back with the Engine Braking podcast. That's on a different YouTube channel, and it's also on Spotify and Spotify and all your podcast platforms. Get involved. I'm gonna get some breakfast. I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll get on this report for Abu Dhabi qualifying. Kimberly, thanks so much. Lynn, Yepe, Sal, appreciate you guys. Mods, big shout out to all the mods. Thank you guys for your help for all these streams, getting up at ridiculous hours all the time. Let's go. I'm gonna have some beans on toast. Beans on toast, everybody. You guys give yourself a big W in the chat. Can we get a bunch of W's in the chat for you guys, please? I just want to see all the W's. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, dudes. I'm gonna get out of here. I'll talk to you guys all very, very soon. I'll see you in the Discord if you're not in the Discord already. But you guys have a great Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll try to get some more data coming to you guys soon, all right? Peace out.